All right, everyone, and welcome to the latest Trees Around the Globe Student Research Campaign webinar. This is actually webinar number 92, The State of Trees, April 2026, celebrating Earth Day 2026 with student research presentations. Globe Brazil sees the cooling power of trees and importance of caring and preserving historic and native trees. So we will have two student research presentations today. They are pre-recorded presentations because the students, of course, English is not their native language. They primarily speak Portuguese, and they are one is translated, subcaptioned in spoken Portuguese, subtitled in English, and the other one was actually a video created in Portuguese, but then AI helped to record it in English. So you'll see that, and it's pretty awesome stuff. So we're going to get started because we have a full agenda today. So once again, I'm going to go over some the introduction and some housekeeping things. I'm going to pass it over to Peter Falcon. I have his slides here on this slide deck. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about, you should have gotten an email about what's going on right now with the 2026 1-week Earth Day week intensive observation period for tree height and land cover observations. And then we're going to go to the featured presentations, both from Brazil. I'll introduce those when we get to each one of those. But I want to also mention that, as we usually do with the student research presentations for the webinars, is that after each one of the presentations or videos that I show, we will then have a Q&A session with the students and educators after each individual presentation. We're not going to wait until they're all done because that just gets a little confusing. So we'll do one after each of the student research projects. And then I will pass it over to our own Peter Nelson about a discussion on wrapping up and archiving research projects for future access. So it's all about research today. So, as you know, today is the 21st of April, which means tomorrow is the 22nd of April, Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026, which is also Earth Day. So, I want to just say a happy early Earth Day to everyone. This is an Earth Day collage. You might have seen this last year. This is one that was created using Landsat imagery across the planet. So you can see here it spells out Earth Day. So, very cool. So, I also wanted to remind you that tomorrow there is the 31 years of Globe anniversary broadcast on Earth Day at 4 p.m. UTC to 5 p.m. UTC, and you can watch it live on the Globe program's YouTube channel. And this is it down here. You can also go to YouTube and just search the Globe program to find the channel. But this is a direct link to it, www.youtube.gov/user/Globe program. And once again, this is 4 p.m. UTC to 5 p.m. UTC tomorrow, the 22nd of April, which is Earth Day. So once again, happy early Earth Day to everyone. So with that said, let me go ahead and pass it over to Peter Falcon so he can talk a little bit about this, because Earth Day has a special place in our hearts because we saw something that Peter's going to talk about, something called Earthrise that we saw with Apollo 8. And then you probably all saw the Artemis II mission launching April 1st and then returning, just over a week ago back to our planet. You might have saw Artemis II. So go ahead, Peter.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, as Brian has mentioned, with Apollo 8, which was the first time, we had these astronauts in space taking pictures of this iconic image of Earth. You can see there the mission type was a lunar landing preparation for a future mission that's going to land on the moon. The crew there, which is Frank Berman, James Lovell, and William Anders. And you can see the launch and the splashdown date, as well as a quote there from the tagline of the mission. If we go to the next slide, please, Ryan. This is the iconic Earthrise image. This is for the first time we're able to see what Earth looked like from space here. And really, this was one of the most influential photos, if not of all time, definitely of this generation in the 60s. And this is really credited with inspiring this growing global environmental movement that eventually led to Earth Day as we know it today. This provided a lot of great things. This was during a time of political turmoil war, assassinations. This really brought people together and provided some unity with Earth. As we see, we're just this blue speck in a vast darkness of space. This photo also is credited with helping to validate a lot of the technology that we developed to put people in space and help to inspire science and education. So that was great to see. And then 58 years later, we had another mission called Artemis II. And here, once again, you can see the mission type, you can see the crew, the launch date, splashdown, and of course the tagline, which is for all humanity. Next slide, please. This is a very beautiful image. This is once again taken by one of our astronauts there. And this is really building upon the past success of NASA in continuing the international collaboration as well as the scientific advancement of what we do. And hopefully we're like to do the exact same thing. We want to inspire and educate this new generation of scientists and engineers into STEM careers, as well as inspire, in particular, females, because this is going to be the first time we're going to have a female astronaut put on the moon. So that's quite an achievement in itself. And although the main mission is to go to Mars at some point, perhaps creating like a lunar base or something like that, it's really important to know that all the things that we develop, all the technology, all this new science, we actually used it to study our planet first. So that is great in itself. So we're going to learn a lot, not just about our solar system, but about human health in space, how radiation impacts our bodies, and so much more. So 58 years later, this is another iconic image that we hope to to use to inspire the next generations of once again people interested in STEM careers. Can you go to the next image, Brian? And there's a couple more images. You can see they're titled Earth Perspective, the eclipse, the moon. So some great high resolution images that once again are going to captivate space enthusiasts and lead to just a lot more scientific advancement. And really looking forward to seeing the next phase of the Artemis missions. Thanks, Brian.
All right, thank you, Peter. So yeah, so that's all about what we wanted to talk about a little bit, was inspiring, because it leads us into like our presentations today, which we have like inspiration from the students who are those next generation of researchers, explorers, teachers, STEM professionals, which all these astronauts are. These are STEM professionals who are going to that that next step, looking at that next frontier, looking at the moon, looking at Mars, and beyond. So thank you, Peter, for that. So with that said, I always like to show a couple quotes, as part of the webinars, and two that I came up with here. One is by Zora Neale Hurston, 1891 to 1960. She was an American writer, anthropologist, folklorist, and documentary filmmaker. She said, "Research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose." I like that quote. It's enjoyed. And then I'm not even going to try to pronounce the entire name of this, but Albert Imre Szent-Györgyi de Nagypollt, Hungarian biochemist. I totally butchered that name. I apologize to my Hungarian friends out there. But Hungarian biochemist. He's a winner of Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine in 1937. And his quote, I really love the quote: "In the fields of observation, chance favors only the prepared mind. Discovery often arises when a prepared mind encounters the unexpected." I really appreciated that. And it's interesting because I know I heard that line paraphrased in a movie one time. It's called Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, with Steven Seagal, which is, interestingly enough, I think it was back in the 1990s. And I remember hearing that quote. I never knew where it came from until I discovered this actual quote online not too long ago. So I thought that was interesting. But, since we're talking about research and the student research presentations for today, I wanted to bring in two of these research-related quotes. So I gave you this little brief story last month's webinar about this tree that I've been taking observations with since we released the trees tool from the Globe Observer. But, I showed you all these pictures here about, I started taking these pictures, and then we had this massive snowstorm the end of February, end of February of 2026, where you can see in the middle here, March 4th, 2026, the snow is very heavy, extremely heavy, that it actually, split this tree in half. And then, March 20th, 2026, when I went back out here, this is right outside the gates of where I work at the NASA Wildlife Flight Facility in Wildtown, Virginia. You can see here that it's completely cleared away. There is almost no remnant of it at all. There's just a tiny, it's almost, you can barely see a little white speck there in that picture. That's just the lowest part of that tree stump that's still visible, and that's all that is left of this tree, unfortunately. So that was a tragedy of Mother Nature, unfortunately. But we still have this in the record, and we know that this tree is not there, but we still have a record of this tree in the database. All the observations that I've taken of this in the database. So it's still there. I still have the record there in my files, and they're in the Globe database. So just wanted to share that with you as well. So with that said, here are these campaign metrics. This is where we're most active. A campaign is most active within the Globe community are these countries that are shaded in green. And then we have the data metrics, and all the way down at the bottom is year 8, which we are in now, which began on the 1st of October of 2025. And you can see here that we are closing in on, if you look in the lighter blue flag at the bottom, we are closing in on 20,000 measurements of tree height, land cover, and greenings from over 5,500 global sites. And for the life of the campaign, we have had, this is the 92nd regular campaign webinar. We've had 38 special campaign webinars, giving us a total of 130 campaign webinars so far. And we have 82 blogs with over 387,000 views. Now, with that data, if you add up all that data for the life of the campaign, which began, of course, on the 15th of September 2018, we're almost at 270,000 observations from over 81,000 global sites during this time of, just over 7.5 years. So, the data is coming in, fast and furious all the time. I just want to give you a heads up. Our next campaign webinar will be on Tuesday, the 19th of May, 2026 at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time, 1700 UTC, 1900 CET. And I apologize to the several folks who emailed me, Marcus and Anna, about the CET time was incorrect on the email. I believe it might have been on the original shareable as well, that the CET time for this webinar today was at 1800. It was not factored in for the daylight savings time. I apologize for that. It has been corrected, and the new the May webinar shareable has been corrected as well. So that's what this one is here. This is the corrected one. The one has to be changed on the website, and I'll take care of that after this webinar is over, before I put the recording of this webinar online. But we're going to be talking about the state of trees, May 2026, where we're really going to be focusing on the NASA moon trees legacy, building generations of tree and land cover observations and stewardship from Apollo to Artemis. And we're not just going to talk about the moon trees in general. We're going to talk about how important they are, why they're vital, how they've provided this this legacy, of looking at observations and, basically from the 1970s all the way to today, this data for the database, and this way of looking at things. They serve as witness trees. Some of these have been around a long, long time. Okay. And these seeds have been the ones on Apollo 14 and the ones on Artemis 1 are the only ones these seeds that have been flown through space and then brought back down to Earth and germinated, planted, and grown. So just wanted to, we're going to focus on that. The planning continues for that with our campaign team. But, hope you join us on the 19th of May, 2026 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 1700 UTC, 1900. I need to put CEST, I believe, for summertime. So just wanted to bring you up to date on that. So last thing before we get into the presentations today is right now, we have what's going on is the 2026 Earth Day Week Tree Height and Land Cover Intensive Observation Period. And it's for just 1 week since Earth Day falls this week, as you know, which is tomorrow. I'm going to read this. So, as we celebrate Earth Day 2026 on 22 April, the Trees Around the Globe Student Research Campaign is hosting a campaign IOP for 1 week. We're looking for as many tree height and land cover observations during the week of Earth Day 2026 from 19 April through 25 April 2026 from both the northern and southern hemispheres, which have just experienced a new change of season. Below are examples of tree height and land cover observations from late March 2026. And you can see here, I broke them down ones from the Globe database that I grabbed from Northern Hemisphere, which is now spring. I have some from Croatia, United States, Republic of Korea, and Ireland. And then in the Southern Hemisphere, which is now autumn, I have Argentina, Uganda, Ecuador, and Madagascar. And you can see here, big difference between what you see in the Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere, right? So this is why we really love these observations because, you know, I live in the state of Maryland and Virginia. I live in the state of Maryland, but work in the state of Virginia. You know, they're pretty much the same, but it's great to see, you know, these images from all around the world because there's lots of places that don't even look close to what I'm looking at, just like out my window behind me. You know, so we really like to see that those coming in. So, I mean, I looked today, we have them coming in. We have lots of people taking the tree height and land cover observation. So I've been looking at it each day, and I'm going to be doing a daily count, and I'm going to be creating a daily map from the Globe visualization system of the tree height and land cover observations that come in each day. And then at the end, I'll be doing a final report. And then at that next webinar on the 19th of May, I'll do a report out for this as well. And I will also have a report out on the campaign's IOP page, which you can just, if you go to the webinar page, which I put, you know, in the chat earlier, if you go to the webinar page and you go to the, when you're on that, if you go to the left side navigation on that page, you'll see the IOP, like current campaign IOP link. You can click on that and this image will be up there. And then when this is over, once we get all the data in, there will be a synopsis of this IOP on there. And then what you can do is you can earn this cool digital badge without that white area there, without that white on the badge, of course. But this is these are some wildflowers that were submitted as a down photo in one of the images from the Globe Observer. So I grabbed that out off the database when I was doing some photo review and thought that would be great for the as part of the digital badge. So that is actually a Globe Observer, an actual Globe Observer photo that we're using for the digital badge. All right. So with that said, I'm going to start with the first featured presentation. And this is called Green Thermometer, Measuring the Cooling Power of Trees. All right. And this is from Globe, Brazil, the Instituto Estadual de, I'm not even going to try to say it, but the Professional Education Institute of Technology and Innovation of Rio Grande do Norte, IERN, and Globe, Brazil. Okay. And then the students that were listed on the report that was submitted to the 2026 Globe VSS project submission were Anna, Maria. I don't know why I didn't put things here. Maria, Taisa, Yasmin, and then Anna as Anna, and then Anna as the educator who is with us as well. So I'm going to play the video here, and you'll see this is going to be in Portuguese, but it's also with English subtitles. So I'm going to go ahead and start this, and then I will then stop sharing, and then we will bounce back to, I will then come back to the regular room, because then Peter Falcon can lead us in some Q&A, question and answer session with anybody who may have some question and answers for the students and teacher of about this project. I also apologize if there's a little bit of a lag in the video. That's just a product of Zoom. Sorry about that, but and the bandwidth. So it might be a little lag in the video, but here we go.
Hello, we are students from IERN, which is located in Natal. We are from Rio Grande do Norte in Brazil, and our school was the first professional education school here in the west zone of Natal, which is a neighborhood with social vulnerability. It was inaugurated in 2024 in a place that used to be vacant lots with little green area and where there was irregular garbage dumping and burning. This affected the temperature of the environment and caused thermal discomfort. Given this, we decided to conduct our research on the topic of the green thermometer, measuring the power of trees in influencing the microclimate in the school environment. Because after the school was built, we noticed that there is still a lack of green areas here, and this affects our behavior, our well-being, and thermal comfort. The geographical location of IERN, as already mentioned, is on a plot of land in the west zone of Natal, RN, and in its surroundings, there are some unused vacant lots that belong to the government. These areas are often used for illegal dumping of garbage, and there is little preserved vegetation cover. Our hypothesis was based on observing the temperatures of environments with greater vegetation cover and others with less vegetation cover, expecting to find greater thermal comfort in environments with more vegetation. The hypothesis for our research was mainly based on the location of IERN. Since the surrounding areas and the unit itself have little vegetation, we thought about analyzing how tree planting could influence temperature and thermal comfort at school. For this, our objectives were to measure the temperatures in different areas near the school and inside the school, in hot areas and in wooded areas, compare the temperatures, and record them in the globe atmosphere protocol. So in our methodology, we used an alcohol thermometer to take temperature measurements at the defined locations. On several days in the month of October, between 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, we always recorded the data in the Globe app in the atmosphere protocol to make comparisons. Our research adopted an exploratory approach based on observing the temperature of the school environment and conducting comparative temperature measurements. We selected two areas of the institution, one with trees, which was in front of the classrooms, and another without trees, which was in the school parking lot. We used an alcohol thermometer, recording the temperatures at about 1 meter above the ground after a 5-minute stabilization period on several days in October, always between 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. We entered the data right after each measurement into the Globe Observer app through the atmosphere protocol to ensure the records, completing the measurements with photographic and comparative records. In October 2025, we conducted analyses both outside and inside the school to identify temperature changes using this alcohol thermometer. The data shows that areas without vegetation cover have higher temperatures, while regions with trees are cooler. On October 21st at 10 o'clock, there were 33 degrees in areas without trees around the school and 31 degrees in areas with trees. At 3 o'clock, it was 35 degrees in areas without vegetation cover and 30 in wooded areas. On October 22nd, the values were similar, reinforcing the observed pattern. The images confirm these measurements, showing that the presence of vegetation helps reduce the temperature. We conclude that the wooded areas of IERN provide greater thermal comfort, while places with little vegetation, the presence of trash and burning worsen the heat and negatively impact the school environment. To improve data visualization and understanding, the table below clearly summarizes the data presented through the images. Well, to conclude our work, we can indeed state that trees are essential for the microclimate of both the school environment and the urban environment. We also emphasize that we will continue our comparative studies in this project so that we can achieve much greater results. As a result, we noticed that the areas of the institution with vegetation cover have milder temperatures and provide thermal comfort. Our study reinforces that the more trees there are, the healthier and more sustainable the environment tends to be.
We also emphasize that we aim to continue our studies, contributing to scientific advancement and providing a practical foundation for a future environmental education project. This project will aim to reduce the improper disposal of solid waste while also increasing tree planting in the school environment and its surroundings.
Hello, I am Professor Ana Carolina. I teach geography here at IERN, and I am the advisor for the girls in the Meninas no Espaço project. Our project is extremely important, right? This theme we address about the importance of tree planting in the school environment, because this directly affects the academic performance of the students here at the institution. We realize that the heat is a consequence of global warming, which is not a localized problem, but an issue that everyone faces. And here at our school, on a local level, we see this problem getting worse, right? Because we don't have this vegetation cover, we don't have the presence of trees. So since this is an extremely important topic, we still need and want to deepen our studies, bringing in more practical analyses, right? Doing more soil analyses, measuring soil temperature, also observing the clouds and making a sort of comparison, right, between this information along with the air temperature and observing how this behaves over time. This project still has a lot to happen. Thank you.
All right, great presentation. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. I'll pass it over to you, Peter.
Thanks, Brian. This is amazing. I love the fact that these students saw a need, something that they can do to beautify their school. They saw the need that there's a lot of garbage and trash, and the effect and the impact that it has on their school. So they saw that problem, they addressed it. So that was great to see. I don't see any questions in the chat, but I do see a lot of congratulations because people really enjoyed your work. Nice video. My question is, what would be next for the project? Do you plan on doing something with that space, perhaps planting trees, or doing something like that? And if Luis, if you would like to translate for me, I would appreciate that.
Hello, my English is not very well, but I try to speak. We want to continue the project. Eu posso falar em português? Acho que eu consigo melhor. Luiz consegue traduzir?
Sim, eu posso traduzir a seguir, Carolina, não há problema.
Ótimo. Ele perguntou se a gente pensa em plantar árvores, né?
Sim,
isso?
ele perguntou se vocês estão a pensar no desenvolvimento do vosso projeto em aumentar a vossa área de árvores.
Isso, sim, sim. Nós pensamos, a princípio, em coletar dados, né? Também para alimentar o programa Globe, né? E a gente conseguir chocar para de fato ter esses dados, né? Concretos de que de fato existe.
Carolina, vais falando e eu depois traduzo um bocado, senão depois eu esqueço-me o que estás a dizer. Ok? So,
Sim,
they thinking the first to collecting the data to understand the real situation in the present moment.
yes.
Podes continuar.
Sim,
Thank you, Anna.
sim. E também queremos, no futuro, sim, plantar mais árvores na escola. Nós temos poucas vegetações presentes, que isso dificulta, né, a temperatura local. Aumenta muito o calor na escola.
In the future, they are planning to plant more trees and more vegetation because that zone is very hot and it's not so comfortable to study there with so hot. Okay.
Yeah, and it's well documented that trees help not only beautifying an area, but clean the air, providing shade, and just overall a more healthy environment, especially for young students and older adults. My question for the students would be, what was your favorite part of this project, and why did you do this project?
Qual é a vossa parte preferida deste projeto? Aquilo que mais gostaram de fazer?
Eu posso falar, Carol?
Sim, podes falar, depois eu traduzo. Se falas inglês, Clara?
Fala um pouquinho.
Ok, mas se quiseres falar em português, podes falar. Depois traduzo, não há
Certo.
problema.
My favorite part of this project, I think it is about the natural. It's we have calcium with the environment, and I think it's very important for our future because we know what is happening with the earth. The warming, it's very very hot now, more than last year's, and I think this project is very very important for the currículo too. I think it's agrega. Eu não sei a palavra. Agrega.
Agrega?
Agree.
Agregar.
Não conheço. Hã?
Agree.
Agregar. Acho que ela quer dizer que
Não tô-
acrescenta no currículo, acrescenta
agregar, acrescentar. To
isso,
join
acrescentar.
something to. Yes.
And it's very, very important for us. And I think this project, it has to be biggest than is now. I think it's only have here in Rio Grande do Norte. I don't know if it has in another states, but I think it's have to be more shared and more biggest for the planet, because if all people in the planet has this calcium with what is happening now, we can make a better earth, a better life for everyone.
Thank you, Maria, and great job with English. I love the fact that you're very confident on, I'm going to try my English. Good job. Kudos to you. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. I couldn't agree with you anymore, especially for somebody your age, because you want a healthy planet to live on, right? So you want to make sure people do their part, not just in your area, but all over the world, so we can have a healthy planet to live on and pass on to the next generation of people. So great job. There are some comments in the chat box. I encourage you guys to read. One of them, I don't know Portuguese, but I'm pretty sure it says it's a really cool project, because I can understand what cool is. So great job on your project. Great job on coming here and presenting to us. I know it's difficult to talk to people, but good job. We really enjoyed it. Final question for you guys. Will you go and continue the project, but then teach the next students who come to your school and encourage them to be a part of the project as well? It's like getting more students to be involved in your project for next year. Will you be doing that?
Vão tentar envolver mais estudantes no próximo ano letivo. Pronto, mas eles não percebem que vocês estão no princípio do ano letivo, não é? Vocês começaram agora há pouco.
Sim. Tô
We said that
escutando.
you're muted.
Peter, they start the new year only now in March.
Oh, I see.
This is different from us because in my country we started in September. I think like in the United States the same, the end of August and the beginning of September. But in Brazil they start the new year only in the beginning of March. Yes, Carolina?
Sim, mas sim, nós queremos agregar, né, acrescentar mais estudantes ao nosso projeto, vista a importância e a necessidade que ele tem, né? Então, com certeza nós queremos.
They want to do that
Excellent.
in the future, for sure.
Excellent. And one last question from Marcus. He asks, is your school administration ready to spend money for changing the school environment or planting trees? And do they support you?
Consegues entender, Carolina?
Ele
Sim.
perguntou sobre o suporte, né? Se a escola.
Se a administração da escola está preparada para gastar dinheiro nas questões ambientais ou na plantação de árvores, se vocês têm algum apoio, se do município, ou se terão que recorrer a organizações privadas, se calhar, não sei.
A questão de recurso financeiro, né? É um desafio, realmente. Mas aqui na nossa região nós temos ONGs, né? Que são organizações não governamentais,
Ok,
conseguem dar mudas de árvores, aí a gente consegue.
ok. Carolina says that the financial support is a challenge, like every place,
Mhm.
but in her zone they have NGOs, non-governmental organizations, that they can help to support their projects.
Mm.
Até mesmo a universidade da gente aqui, que é o FRN, né? Eles desenvolvem um projeto de mudas de vários tipos de árvores, né? Então a gente quer analisar e observar qual tipo de árvore cabe melhor para a nossa escola, né? Porque a gente também precisa ver o tipo do
Mhm.
solo, as áreas que é possível, que é viável, né?
And they have the support from the local university to analyze the soil, to understand the most adaptable trees to the place. So I think by this way they are okay.
Excellent. Glad to hear. It's always great to hear when administrations support the students and see value in the work that they're doing. So that's great to see. Once again, congratulations on your project and on your students are amazing. Thank you, Maria, for speaking to us and answering some questions. And I want to encourage you to look at the chat box because there's some really nice things that people wrote about your project as well. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes, thank you so much for agreeing to do the presentation today. Thank you, Peter, for the question and answer, and thank you, Luis, for the translations. Excellent. Let me go ahead and go back and share my screen. Go back to the next one. All right. Peter, look good on your end? That look okay, Peter?
Yes, it looks great.
All right, cool. All right, so our second feature presentation is Brazil Globe School, Assessment for the Care and Preservation of Historic and Native Trees, Globe VSS 2026. And thank you to Diogo Lamada Racino, who is online with us with some of the students as well. And he had to scramble to get a recording to me because I kind of asked him not with a lot of time left, and he got the presentation to me. But thank you for that. And you'll see here we have a presentation from the students as well. And then we'll do the question and answer with Peter at the end. But thank you to the students who took time over the last few days to a week to do their recordings. You'll see some were in cars, some were doing this when they were out of school. So thank you for their dedication for this. But as a reminder, these were all presentations that were submitted to the 2026 Virtual Science Symposium for Globe. As you can see here, Globe Data Detectives, using data to explore change in your local environment. So these are all ones that were submitted to the 2026 Globe VSS. So just want to do that, give you that reminder here. So let me go ahead and show this this video here. And this one will have subtitles.
Olá, pessoal, tudo bem com vocês? Meu nome é Ana Carolina, sou de Uberlândia, Minas Gerais, tenho 13 anos, estudo no Instituto Federal do Triângulo Mineiro e estou atualmente no primeiro ano do ensino médio. Então, você já parou para pensar na importância das árvores ao seu redor? Em cidades como aqui em Uberlândia, muitas árvores não são apenas plantas, e elas sim fazem parte da nossa história, do nosso clima e da nossa qualidade de vida. Essas árvores nativas e históricas têm um papel muito fundamental no meio ambiente. Elas ajudam a regular a temperatura, diminuir a ilha de calor nas cidades, melhoram a qualidade do ar e servem de abrigo para vários animais. Além disso, muitas dessas árvores são centenárias, ou seja, carregam a história da comunidade e da cidade. Mesmo sendo tão importantes, elas estão ameaçadas por problemas como crescimento urbano e desordenado, poluição, pragas e as mudanças climáticas. Outro problema é a falta de políticas públicas eficientes para proteger elas. Por isso, surge a necessidade que métodos ajudem no monitoramento e preservação dessas árvores. E um desses desafios principais é a falta de formas organizadas e acessíveis para acompanhar a saúde dessas árvores ao longo do tempo. E pensando nisso, o projeto propõe o uso dos protocolos do programa Globe, que unem ciência com participação da população, algo chamado de ciência cidadã. Em Uberlândia, por exemplo, já foram analisadas árvores como empês e jatobá centenários, com alturas entre 18 e 25 metros, e copas que chegam a cobrir até 80% do espaço ao redor. Além disso, cerca de 200 registros foram feitos com a participação de estudantes e moradores, mostrando que a comunidade pode ajudar diretamente a ciência. Sabendo disso, do ponto de vista científico, essas árvores são essenciais para o equilíbrio dos ecossistemas, e elas participam da regulamentação do clima, da ciclagem dos nutrientes e da manutenção da biodiversidade. Em áreas urbanas, como aqui em Uberlândia, elas ajudam a reduzir as chamadas ilhas de calor, tornando o ambiente muito mais agradável. Além do valor ambiental, essas árvores também têm uma importância cultural, porque elas fazem parte da identidade da população. Outro conceito importante é o da ciência cidadã, que permite que qualquer pessoa participe da coleta de dados científicos. Isso aumenta a quantidade de informações disponíveis e também conscientiza a população. Sabendo disso, com o uso das tecnologias como o aplicativo Globe Observer, é possível registrar dados em tempo real, garantindo mais precisão e organização. Assim, a união entre ciência, tecnologia e participação social se torna uma das melhores estratégias para preservar o meio ambiente. É isso, e muito obrigada.
Muito boa tarde. Eu sou o professor Diogo Lamota e estamos aqui através do clube Lamota Robotics and Space para apresentar o projeto de monitoramento e preservação das árvores nativas e históricas brasileiras. Tá? Sou o professor Diogo Lamota e a equipe é composta pela Carol, pelo Luiz Versuti, pela Isabela e pelo Samuel. Tá? A minha parte é referente aos dados, né? Análise de resultados e dados. Tá? Como que funcionou isso? A gente teve a ideia de como cada aluno está em diferentes locais e estados brasileiros. Hoje o clube ele tem alunos de 7 estados diferentes, né? Que envolvem 4 das 5 regiões brasileiras e, portanto, tem uma biodiversidade, aí, uns ecossistemas muito diferentes, né, em relação a isso. E, para complementar o projeto, a gente fez uma comparação histórica, né, para demonstrar quais são as árvores e as matas que tem desde os primórdios aí no continente sul-americano, né, e também nas regiões do Brasil. Então, a gente avaliou 5 ecossistemas, né, envolvendo a Amazônia, o Cerrado e os Pampas, né, além da área de Mata Atlântica também, né, 4. E para isso, a gente está no meio do caminho, né, avaliando dados de regiões, ainda encontra-se incompleto os dados, né, de todas as regiões, mas ao final aí a gente quer complementar com todos os dados de várias regiões aí diferentes. E aí o que a gente conseguiu aferir até o momento para o projeto é Minas Gerais, né, a cidade de Uberlândia, onde indica espécies nativas como o jatobá, né, que afere-se entre 18 e 25 metros, e cerca de cobertura de copa, né, das folhas tem entre 60% e 80%, né? Também avaliamos também a região do norte do Mato Grosso, né, que é uma região amazônica, né? Esses dados estão presentes aqui, como a gente pode perceber, né, uma alta altitude, né? Também tem a parte de elevação, né, das árvores e tudo mais, e também aqui a espécie, né, uma das espécies, né, inclusive a gente pegou a espécie de jatobá, né, e aqui tem as espécies em, né, a fotografia, né, de Lucas do Rio Verde, né, no norte, no Mato Grosso, e também Uberlândia, Minas Gerais. Tá? Aqui os dados referentes à região cartográfica, né, altitude, né, latitude, elevação, e aqui também dados muito importantes, tais como aqui embaixo, um instantinho, que é a biometria das árvores, ou seja, a altura delas. Tá? A gente também aferiu no local, né, a temperatura, e também, além da temperatura, a circunferência das árvores, e também a profundidade de raízes, né, e como se encontra a preservação, né, o estado natural dessas árvores, né, onde encontra-se muito bem preservadas, né, por estarem em áreas de parques nativos, né, em área de preservação urbana, que é muito legal, né, pegaram e transformaram em parques aí, até em praças na cidade de Uberlândia tem árvore histórica, né, não só uma, como entre outras também, e é muito bacana, né. E recentemente um dado aponta que Minas Gerais, né, está entre os estados aí, acho que é o 5º estado de maior preservação de áreas nativas, né, de árvores nativas. Fazem muito bem aí para a população, né? E vale destacar que são áreas urbanas, né? Então, áreas aí de matas fechadas, né? Aqui tem mais um pouquinho de dados referente à altura da copa, né? Onde começam as folhas. E a gente destacou que a vegetação de cerrado, né, é mais rasteira, né? As folhas são mais baixas do que a parte da vegetação no norte do Mato Grosso, né? E aí, por fim, né, esses foram os dados apresentados e dando continuidade aí ao apresentado.
Boa tarde, tudo bem? Meu nome é Estadual Luiz Flá, moro em Lucas do Rio Verde, Mato Grosso, e eu participo do grupo Lamota, Space and Robots. A ampliação dos protocolos do programa GLOBE em árvores históricas e nativas permite a obtenção de dados quantitativos e qualitativos altamente relevantes para a compreensão das dinâmicas ambientais locais, considerando como referência exemplares arboreus, situados em áreas urbanas, como praças públicas em cidade de Uberlândia. É possível observar padrões significativos relacionados ao desenvolvimento e à adaptação possível. Observar padrões significativos relacionados ao desenvolvimento e adaptação dessas árvores ao ambiente urbano. Os dados indicam que árvores centenárias de espécies nativas como aipê e jatobá apresentam altura média variando entre 18 e 25 metros, evidenciando seu elevado porte e longevidade. A cobertura de copa, estimada entre 60% e 80%, demonstra sua contribuição expressiva para a formação de microclimas mais amenos, promovendo o conforto térmico e reduzindo a incidência direta de radiação solar no ambiente urbano. Além disso, o dimétrico do tronco frequentemente superior a 1 metro em indivíduos mais antigos. Reflete não apenas o tempo de crescimento, mas também a estabilidade estrutural e a resiliência dessas árvores frente a condições adversas. Esses parâmetros biométricos são fundamentais para a avaliação do estado de conversão e da saúde das árvores. O trabalho demonstrou a importância do monitoramento ambiental como ferramenta para compreender as dinâmicas atmosféricas e os impactos da urbanização sobre o meio ambiente. A aplicação dos protocolos do programa Globo permitiu a coleta de dados relevantes sobre variáveis como temperatura, umidade e vento, além das análises de vegetação por meio da biometria de árvores. A investigação evidenciou que fatores como a impermeabilização do solo e a redução da cobertura vegetal contribuem para problemas ambientais urbanos, como alagamentos e ilhas de calor. Por outro lado, a área com maior presença de vegetação apresentaram melhores condições ambientais, destacando o papel fundamental das plantas na regulação térmica e hídrica. Além disso, o uso do aplicativo Globo Observe reforçou a importância da ciência cidadã, possibilitando a participação ativa na produção de dados científicos na compreensão dos fenômenos ambientais. Dessa forma, contribuiu-se que o monitoramento contínuo e ampliação dessas práticas são essenciais para o desenvolvimento de estratégias sustentáveis e para a formação de cidadãos mais conscientes em relação ao meio ambiente.
Boa tarde, tudo bem? Meu nome é Isabela Luiz Inflá, moro em Lucas do Rio Verde, Mato Grosso, e eu participo do grupo Labota Space Robots. E hoje eu vim aqui no lago José Hernani Machado coletar dados, mostrar como é que funciona a coleta de dados. Para ajudar na coleta de dados, você vai precisar de materiais físicos, como papel e caneta para anotar as informações, e você vai precisar de fita métrica para medir o ângulo das árvores. Como estamos no lago José Hernani Machado, vou mostrar uma árvore típica aqui do Mato Grosso, Lucas do Rio Verde. A árvore que eu vou falar é a árvore buriti, que é essa aqui, mas no caso ela tem um nome científico que é Mauritia flexuosa. Essa palmeira é típica de regiões úmidas do Cerrado e do Pantanal, que fazem parte do bioma do Mato Grosso. O buriti é considerado uma árvore histórica, pois ela está ligada desde a origem e a preservação de nascentes da região. Desde muitos anos atrás, ela já ajudava pessoas e animais a encontrar lugares com vida e também ajudava na formação dos ecossistemas locais. Por isso, ela é muito importante para a história de Lucas do Rio Verde.
All right. Thank you so much. And Peter, let me pass it to you.
Thanks, Brian. Once again, another fabulous presentation. I love to see the students seeing the importance of having native trees in their environment. Also seeing that cultural tie-in towards the end there, talking about the importance of the tree to the region, to the culture, to the history of the community there. That was wonderful to see. Maria wrote a nice little comment there. She says, very nice to watch and listen, enthusiastic students. I think we all can agree with that. Question that I have would be, so I think I passing through, gosh, I'm blanking out now, Brian. The question I had. Oh no, my phone is ringing. Can you,
Yeah.
Brian, take over. I'm going to hang up this phone.
I got it. Yep, got it. So yeah, thank you for that presentation. A couple questions that I was just thinking of, in the last part of the video, and I can't remember the exact name of the tree there, but how many different species of trees did you take a look at in your location around your area?
Luis, could you translate?
O Brian perguntou quantas espécies diferentes de árvores vocês trabalharam na vossa área. Chegaram a contar quantas espécies diferentes? Não.
Only question. Last, the name on a segment got mixed up with and the other groups. So, like to list the names of the members hair correctly and again. Matheus João Gobi, de Campo Novo do Parecis, Mato Grosso. Isabela Luiz Flá, de Lucas do Rio Verde, também Mato Grosso. Ana Carolina Ferreira dos Santos, de Uberlândia, Minas Gerais. E Miguel Stein, de Santa Maria, Rio Grande do Sul. E Diogo Lamota Aesson, de Assis, São Paulo. Agora eu vou falar em português para os alunos entenderem
Ok,
aí.
então tu falaste que vocês trabalharam em 5 locais diferentes, não é?
Sim.
Pelas minhas contas.
Estamos ainda trabalhando, né? Com 5 locais,
5
né?
locais.
Que
Ok.
são
E
os
quantas
locais dos
árvores?
alunos.
Sim. E quantas espécies diferentes de árvores é que vocês trabalharam?
No entanto, foram 6, porque foram até o momento da entrega do projeto em janeiro. Conseguimos coletar apenas em Uberlândia e em Lucas do Rio Verde, Mato Grosso.
Mas 6 espécies diferentes de árvores?
Nativas de cada região, né? E também preservadas em parques ou praças urbanas.
Ok.
Então, além de nativas, são áreas de proteção urbanas, que aqui no Brasil a gente chama de PPP, né?
Ok. They were collecting until January from different 6 different zones from natural parks and protected areas. So the work is not finished.
Okay.
They need to continue to work. But they have several places to analyze, so I think it's a huge work. If they want to work properly, they have a lot of work to do, I think so.
Yeah.
I would say, Brian, I have a question. This is for the students. What was your favorite tree to measure? And what was your favorite part of your research that you did?
Estão a perguntar, não sei se é o João que vai responder ou algum dos alunos, qual foi a árvore que mais gostou de trabalhar e qual o trabalho que gostou mais de fazer, se foi a medir a árvore, se foi outro trabalho qualquer.
Isabela e Carol podem responder. Foram elas que
Ok.
aferiram os dados presencialmente até o momento da entrega do trabalho.
Ok.
Fala da onde vocês são primeiro, né, meninas? A idade de vocês e aí eu respondo a pergunta.
Posso começar?
Sim?
Sim.
Boa tarde, meu nome é Ana Carolina, tenho 14 anos, sou do Instituto Federal do Triângulo Mineiro aqui em Uberlândia. Acho que é só isso, né, Diogo?
Isso,
Ana
só fala
Carolina,
pausadamente
14
para
years old.
ele traduzir em
Okay, but
inglês.
Ana Carolina, 14 years old. She is from Uberlândia City.
Isso, agora fala o
Pode
resto,
continuar?
Carol. Isso.
A árvore que eu mais gostei de coletar, eu não sei se tem a foto, eu não tenho o nome dela de cor. Ela fica aqui bem perto da minha casa, uns 3 quarteirões.
Okay, Ana Carolina, she liked to collect data from one big tree that is nearby to her home, but she doesn't remember the name. Maybe later she can send the photo from the tree.
Okay.
Talvez mais tarde mandas a foto, Carolina, para o teu professor e ele reencaminha para o Brian.
E o que você mais gostou de fazer, Carol?
Mais
E na
gostou de fazer.
sequência a Isabela fala. Rapidinho, gente.
No geral, eu gostei de fazer tudo, porque foi uma experiência bem marcante para mim.
So she liked to do everything. It was a remarkable experience to her.
That's great to hear. And
É,
any comments from the other students?
Mais
Isabela,
algum
sua vez.
estudante quer falar?
Oi, meu nome é Isabela, tenho 13 anos, moro em Lucas do Rio Verde. Eu
Não consegui ouvir bem, Isabela. Tens de
O
falar
nome-
com mais calma.
Meu nome é Isabela, tenho 13 anos, moro em Lucas do Rio Verde. Eu gostei de colocar a árvore por conta de uma árvore muito importante, pois ela é antiga e mora lá os macacos.
Sorry. Desculpa,
É,
Isabela, não consigo ouvir.
O áudio ficou bem ruim, mas eu posso complementar o que ela quis dizer aí,
Então
eu
dizes
acho.
que eu traduzo.
Só rapidamente, ela diz que gostou muito de participar e que o parque municipal, que é o Parque dos Buritis, onde tem as árvores históricas preservadas pela prefeitura, fica ao lado
Mas
da
em que
casa
cidade
dela.
é isso? Em que cidade é isso?
É Lucas do Rio Verde, Mato Grosso.
Okay. So Isabella is from Lucas do Rio Verde in Mato Grosso, and she was very pleased to work with the trees around her natural park surrounding her house.
E lá nesse parque tem muitas árvores nativas que são preservadas pela prefeitura e muito bem cuidadas. E lá ela
So,
conseguiu ver a saúde das folhas e as próprias saúde de raízes também e aferir o estado atual das árvores.
so this is a native park and is very carefully treated by the CTL department, so it's in good shape.
Well, there's a lot of great comments in the chat box. I want to encourage you to look them over. And last question before we go to Brian and then Peter Nelson, what is next for the project?
Diogo, o que é que vem a seguir no projeto? O que é que falta fazer? O que é que estão a pensar fazer?
Para concluir esse projeto, que junto tem também o programa Globo Brasil, que a gente submeteu ele aqui no Brasil, né? Projeto nacional, coordenado pela Federal do Rio Grande do Norte e a Agência Espacial Brasileira, né? Esse aí.
E o que é que vocês estão a pensar fazer de seguida?
A gente vai coletar os dados de outras cidades e aí fazer a comparação completa para ver a diferença dos ecossistemas, né,
Ok,
nacionais, né? Então são Pampas, Mata Atlântica e Amazônia, além do Cerrado,
ok,
né? E ver as principais peculiaridades de espécies e o quão preservado está, né? A gente também quer saber assim
ok.
o índice de preservação urbana também.
Okay, so they are continuing the work. They are working with Globe Brazil and Geospace Brazil, and they are trying to collect data from another cities and another forests to complete the work and to have more data to compare.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. I love it when we are able to leverage partnerships to expand the research. So great job. If anyone else has any comments or any questions, please put them in the chat box for our students. And once again, congratulations on a great project. Very good. Very great job. And thank you,
Muitos
Luis, as well.
parabéns em português, muitos parabéns em português de Portugal.
Muito obrigado. Thank you very much, Brian. Honorally present next event.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Diego. And thank you, Anna, for agreeing to have the students present today and with the recordings and the great question and answer. Thank you so much. And I'll be sending an email out to both of you, Diego and Anna, because I want to get all of your presenting student names so I can send out a certificate. So I will send you that email later today. So today's webinar, we're going to end up with our own Professor Peter Nelson, So Peter, so since we had some student presenters today, presentations from Brazil, we're talking about research projects again, since this is, a research campaign. So, talk to us a little bit about, what do we do once we have these projects done and complete, even though I know we've talked about with both of these, they're going to continue in some way, what do we do with these projects, once they're, potentially complete?
Well, wonderful, Brian. Thank you for handing that off, because these projects really showed the value of having a place to store your data, to share your data, and not having to make your own database, not having to manage those tree locations and all of that is actually one of the services that the GLOBE program is providing to all of us. And as you highlighted there, Brian, this has been going on for 31 years. So in essence, by using the GLOBE protocols, like the students highlighted, GLOBE Observer puts the data into a database and actually allows it to be stored in a way that many of us teachers, or many of us making these measurements, can then relax and not have to worry about keeping track of those measurements. It becomes useful. So I want to really emphasize that this is something that is really important. And there's people who are actually running the computers and managing the data to make sure that it has life for it. So, Diago, when you were highlighting about how you guys want to keep doing this into the future, having this computer infrastructure helps that. And that's a really important part of why you need to not just make a measurement, but make sure it ends up in our GLOBE database, right? And this is a really important step, because this is where data can get lost, actually. And how it doesn't, if data doesn't end up in our database, or if it gets transformed in some way or changed, it's not useful for our next analysis and our next steps. We can't go back and remeasure that, right? And so both of these projects that we saw today are thinking about trees growing over time. That's going to happen into the future, right? And so having a long living computer database makes this possible. Okay, so I want to emphasize that's the first step that many people are doing, because you have an app that allows you to take a measurement, and when you send it to GLOBE, it can end up here. Now, what I want to really emphasize is that it's not good enough to just send it to GLOBE and then expect Brian Campbell, where he's sitting, to know about the measurements or to know if all of this information is correct. Okay, so this is a really important part of your projects, is you can go in and actually double check the data. And so this is something I want everybody to do, because if you see here, like, you want to check that all of your photos ended up going to the database. You're the only one that knows that you took an upward photo. And I want to highlight, this isn't upward, actually. So as somebody who comes to the database, I actually am expecting data to look a certain way. And this is that important part about research, is if you don't document your data in a way that somebody else can use it, then you don't allow research to occur. You've done the search, but you can't do a research. Somebody can't remeasure those the tree heights. And something like this is something that is now available to all of us to evaluate. And maybe we can still use this information or this photo, but maybe not in the way that it was intended. And so this is a really important part, because sometimes you don't and can't go out and make that measurement. So this is a great opportunity for everybody who's working together to exchange your data. and have somebody else look over what you submitted and ask questions. Again, this is a downward facing photo, yes, but maybe not exactly the way that we were expecting. So when you are looking at data that has been measured and put into a database like this, this is one of those things that if you didn't make those measurements, I'm relying on what's in this database to help me understand it. And that is really the fundamental piece of allowing your measurements and your projects to be researchable, right? It's not just making a single measurement, it's this ability to then actually pull up data from maybe 5 years ago. And we can actually go back and use those measurements. So the Globe database here is really valuable and your first step in archiving and making your data part of the science process. Okay, so this is again something I want to emphasize because this is modern science. This is what we expect. And so if your data ends up in the database like this, it has an opportunity to now be archived and put with other science data. And that's really, again, a nice part that you're contributing to science. You're not just making measurements, you're actually helping all of us understand this moment today. And so, as this is happening, you can see we have a lot more data to go into, and we can explore more about an area. Maybe another class actually did the same project or did something similar years ago. Or, as Marcus Euster highlighted here, maybe you run out of funding to do your project or to pay your students, or all kinds of things like that can interrupt a long research project that is measuring trees over time. So think about that life of a tree and try to take this long-term idea of what will somebody need next year to measure that tree? What will somebody need in 5 years to know that we're talking about that same tree? And importantly, Brian highlighted how important it is. We don't know when a change might occur to that tree. So having an archive and a backup like this is one way that we are keeping track of things that allow us to be prepared. As Brian highlighted very, very early on, this is one of the ways that we prepare for changes and we're ready for that observation. And as Brian highlighted with that wonderful photo series, just having these photos like this can be really the first place that we can start together. So keep using Globe Observer, keep putting your data into this database. That's really crucial. I want to then take you over to how you can actually see to work with this data. So this should be something that you do next, is start understanding your data with other people's data. So you might go and look at the Globe Data User Guide. So this right here is something that everybody can contribute to. So as you are doing your next round of science, which is now working with those measurements, here you can start to see how to do that. Importantly, this data user guide tells you everything you need to know about how that data is being stewarded, as it's called, how it's being managed for you. How it's getting ready for your next campaign next summer, when you can go out and make those measurements again. That's the really important part of our science here. And that's one of the things that the Globe program is providing to all of us. I want to say that if you have done any prior Globe measurements, you can find them here on this page. And what's important is you can look at things already put together for you. And so this makes it easier to, again, access this data that is in the past. And so again, you can go here and you can actually find all of the data that's been collected for the land covers over the last years. So this is one way that the GLOBE program is actually archiving this data for you, okay? Notice it ends in 2025. So that's just always something to pay attention to with your archiving of your data. And so this is one way that our data is getting preserved and making it accessible for all of us. Okay, so if you're looking for historical data, here is one place that you can find that. And importantly, you can go down and you can actually find those tree heights as well. So if you want to know what a tree was measured at previously, you can go here and you might be able to find that if you know the year when it was measured. Okay, so this is how the GLOBE program is managing your data once it goes up into the database. But I want to encourage you to take that next step of once you have actually produced a project, you now actually have your own data set that other people could really understand and use if you describe it. Right? So that's really the goal of making your data researchable, is being able to describe it so somebody else can use it. And what you'll find is that for a little moment here, we actually were publishing our data up to a place where scientists go to discover their data and other data sets that are out there. So on your own, you can still go ahead and upload your data to this place called Zenodo. And this is a great place where you can actually search for, say, tree heights. Oops, if I can spell right. You can then go around and you can see, oh, in our GLOBE community here, you can see other research projects and how they have stored and made their data available to us. Here, this is Brian highlighting the research articles that we've shown here. But this is a good way that you independently, after you've done your project, you can actually upload it here. And there's some ways that I can teach you how to actually do that. We've been doing this with a lot of our projects, and it really is important because if you actually want to find other data sets, this is where you can actually find other data that might be outside of the GLOBE program. But again, if I come up here and search for something like tree height, you will see that now we actually have quite a bit of data published in the last, several years, really since 2005, right? You can see things like the limits to tree height. This might be something that you can use in your own research. So I want to encourage all of us that when you've done your project, to package it all together and share it with the larger science community. So this is again something that might be really useful, right? And might be something you want to explore in relation to your measurements. So here is where the scientists are going to find other data sets to work together and to provide some context to data discoverability. So this to me is a really important part of our new science, or the science that we're doing today, that really, as you can see, just started in the last 5 years in the way that we can approach it like this. So when you're thinking about your science process, remember sharing your data and making it accessible is your ending point, actually, before you go out and redo your measurements. And so with that, that's our ending with archiving of data. And I want to, really take us back here to our Globe database as this first step in archiving. And so when we come back in May, we will explore some of that longevity that you can find in the databases here. And this is those trees that have been measured for 30 years or that have actually been living for longer than 30 years. And so how do we think about a heritage trees? Or how do we think about this moon tree experiment that has been going on since NASA sent seeds from trees around the moon? To me, it's a really exciting thing to not only go out and make these measurements, but to think about setting up that baseline measurement that other people can build on going forward. So, Brian, thanks so much for taking us down this road of not only showing us research projects from our community, but this important way that we can actually research what is happening today.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. Yeah, that was a great ending to a great way to tie up all the rest of what we did today with the presentations. So I'm looking in the chat here, and I love that. I love that quote. That's a great way to end it from Maria Martha. Not only we need to preserve trees, we only need to preserve our data for future generations. I think that's a great way to end it. So I just want to say to
Frank,
go ahead, Peter.
We give a special thanks to Luis for helping us with our translation. We could not have pulled this off without you. So thank you very much, Luis, for helping us.
Always here. Okay. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you so much.
One question. At the end, could you take a group photo with everyone? With everyone?
Yes.
Can anyone? Yep.
Turn on your camera if you want to end up on the group shot. I love that, Diago.
Yep. Turn your camera.
Yeah.
Yep.
Liguei as câmeras, todo mundo aí, pessoal.
There's lots of people without their camera on. I have everybody on the screen right now. There's lots of people.
Students.
Yeah. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And Brian take the print.
Yep, I'm just waiting for more people to pop their cameras on because there's only a couple with their camera off.
Para ligar as câmaras para tirar uma foto de grupo, para o Brian tirar uma foto de grupo.
All right, we'll wait a couple seconds. People are still turning theirs on. Okay, they're still coming on. Here we go. Still coming on. Wait for Miguel. Miguel just rejoined, so maybe Miguel can put his camera on as well. Can you say that one more time, Luis? For some people just rejoined.
O Brian está a pedir para ligarem o vídeo para mostrar a vossa cara, porque ele queria tirar uma foto de grupo com todos nós. Obrigado.
Okay. In my Spanish. Listo?
Prontos?
Prontos. Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
One,
All
two,
right.
three.
1, 2, 3. Vale. Got it. And just want to say also thank you, everyone, and happy Earth Day tomorrow. So I hope you have nice weather tomorrow. You can get outside and enjoy nature and the environment on Earth Day, and take some observations during this week, especially because we have that intensive observation period going on right now. And we need some more observations from Northern and Southern Hemisphere, which we have represented here right now in the campaign webinar. So we have lots of good representation. So thank you all so much, and hope you join us on the 19th of May. Until then, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.